Hey everyone, Tim here, Silver Pascal Coder. We are going to be looking at some code today, but before we get there, we're going to have a little look at this program here called FPC Deluxe, I'll call it. It's got a page here on GitHub as well, not GitHub, sorry, on the Lazarus Wiki, which I would suggest you have a look at as well. How I came upon this program, well, I was wanting to write a weather app, and we are going to look at that in a little bit, or part thereof I should say, the start of it, where I'm using a weather API and I want to get information for the weather both in the future and in the past. But suffice to say, using an HTTP interface, that there was a mismatch between what the compiler would work with in terms of the SSL libraries versus what the version of OpenSSL that was installed on my machine, and it said that it couldn't find the libraries. So it begs the... Now I also know though that from the looking at the source code for Free Pascal, I know that it does support it. And I wasn't aware really, I knew of it, but I didn't know about it, I guess you could say, until someone pointed me in this particular direction. And what it allows you to do is to maintain multiple versions of FPC and Lazarus in a self-contained manner. And doing that, I was able to, let's say, get the here to get the latest version of 3.2 with all the fixes, and similarly I was able to get the version 4 of Lazarus with its fixes, and then I could click the update and it will basically update both and put them onto my machine here. Now where's it going to put them and all that sort of stuff? Well, first of all, up here above these options here will say this is the path where it's all going to get put. This is the location for Free Pascal, and here is the path for Lazarus. And when you do click on the update button on the right hand side here, this terminal will start spewing out information about the compilation of each part, you know, or downloading and installing, etc. At the end of all of that, I now have a, let's say, rather than a slightly older version of Lazarus with, let's say, a slightly older version of Free Pascal, I now have a version of Lazarus which does support OpenSSL 3.0. Yay! So when I go into here now, and I've got my little program here now. Right now, all it's really doing is to get the data for the current date and time based on my location, and that will just get put into a memo box. Now at this time here, I'm happy with that because, like I said before, I was going nowhere. So in order to get this information, all I have to do is to construct a URL and issue a GET request, and the URL, and by the way, we are using the Weather API, which has a free interface, so it's api.weatherapi.com. you know, chuck in current JSON as a part of the query here, and then we do have an API key to use when we want to, let's say, ask for the historical, current or future weather, and then we need to specify a location. Once you've done that, that basically becomes the URL which you just issue a GET request against, and then you get back a bunch of data which we can then display onto the screen. So to show you what that might look like, let's just do a build here. that's successful, and like I said, you are seeing a bit more information down here now. I'm not quite sure what options were turned on, but what I can show you here though is that when you do look up here, you can see that it is using a fully contained instance or environment of FreePascal and Lazarus, because it's using the executable is defined by the path in which the other program installed FreePascal. It's got some home directory, it's got its, well, that's my folder really there. And this part here is the configuration file for the whole environment as well. So in doing so now, I do have an environment now that I don't need to worry about, what I don't have. I can keep everything up to date that way, knowing that I'm not going to wreck some other environment here. So I'm pretty happy that Lazarus gives me this option where I can have these two things working together without any dramas. So we've compiled that program, so we'll just cancel out of there and we will now run this. And like I said, all this is going to do is just at this minute is going to get the information about my current weather, the fact that I can talk to it, the fact that I'm getting a result back and I can display that result and I'm not getting any errors. That means we can then move towards taking this information and doing something with it similar to what I might see on my phone, but I'm going to be wanting to select the place that I want to get the weather for. So if I am going to go on holidays, I might want to ask, well, what's the weather like in Stanthorpe next weekend, and it will give me some information. Whether that information is correct at the end of the day is something else, but it's a start. And we are going to be doing things like gradient fills to make it look nice like you would see on a mobile type app. So this is going to be an ongoing project where we are going to be using this weather API. We may hook a map in so we can choose a location on the map to get the weather for. And hopefully you'll get something out of this as well, and the code will be going up onto GitHub. It's just to give you some of the information, an idea of some of the information that we're going to be looking at here. We get to see what the weather conditions are like, what the speed of the wind is, how much rain we're getting if we're looking at historical data. And that's given in both millimeters and in inches. Similarly, for when it comes to temperature, that comes in both Celsius and Fahrenheit. So it does cater for everyone, and we're going to have some fun with this hopefully. So I hope that you will be able to stay with me for this journey as we start to develop something which is hopefully useful to me if no one else. So that's where we're going to go. So two things out of this video here. If you weren't already familiar with it, we'll just quit out of here now. If you weren't already familiar with this program here, give it a look at. I'll put a link into the description where you can get that or this program here. And also then, like we're starting to look at a weather app here. It's not much coding, then you've got a utility you can play with. And until next time, happy coding, and I'll see you then. Bye.